My sister stood up at my rehearsal dinner, lifted my veil off the chair beside me, and said, "You won't need this after tonight." Everyone laughed. My fiancé did not. That was how I knew something was wrong. My name is Paige. I'm 29 now. My sister Lauren is 26. Growing up, Lauren was my mother's favorite in the kind of way nobody says out loud, but everybody can feel. My mother called her spontaneous. She called me rigid. That word followed me for years. If Lauren forgot something important, my mother said she was overwhelmed. If I forgot anything, my mother said I was careless. If Lauren broke something, my father said accidents happen. If I broke something, my mother acted like I had proven a point about my character. That was our normal. My father was quiet in the weakest possible way. He hated conflict more than unfairness. That mattered later. When I was 10, Lauren took the money our aunt mailed me for new school shoes and bought makeup. My mother said sisters share. When I was 13, Lauren ruined the scrapbook my grandmother helped me make and cried until my mother hugged her. I got sent to my room for being dramatic. When I was 16, Lauren told a boy I liked that I had named our future children already. I had not. He laughed every time he saw me after that. At dinner, Lauren asked if I was okay in the same soft voice she used with teachers. That was the trick. She hurt you first, then she offered sympathy before you could speak. By high school, I had one rule: do not react in public. If I cried, Lauren looked innocent. If I got angry, my mother looked embarrassed. If I stayed quiet, people called me mature. What they meant was useful. The only person who saw the whole pattern was my grandmother, Nana June. She lived in a small brick house near the river and smelled like coffee, mint gum, and old paper. One afternoon when I was 15, Lauren had just screamed because my mother would not let her borrow the car. 20 minutes later, my mother gave her the keys anyway. I was at Nana June's kitchen table cutting apples too hard. She looked at my hands and said, "You're slicing fruit like it insulted your bloodline." I laughed, then I cried. I told her I hated who I became around my own family. She put down the knife and said, "No, sweetheart. You hate the role they keep handing you." I never forgot that. The role they keep handing you. That was exactly it. In my family, I was always assigned a role. Calm one, reliable one, forgiving one, the one who adjusted so everybody else could stay comfortable. I left for college at 18 and nearly never moved back. I studied business operations because I liked systems, order, and things that made sense. Numbers do not gaslight you. That was also where I met Ben. He was not flashy. He had kind eyes and a habit of listening all the way to the end of what I said. The first time we really talked, I was venting about a broken vendor schedule at work. He smiled and said, "You don't panic. You stack the problem into parts." No one had ever noticed me kindly like that before. We dated for 4 years. Not perfect years, real ones. Cheap pasta, shared bills, long drives, second-hand furniture, good mornings. Then I made my mistake. I brought him home too often. The first Thanksgiving he spent with my family. Lauren smiled too brightly. She asked too many questions. Was Ben always this quiet? Did he like confident women? Did he ever get tired of people who planned everything? Everyone laughed. Even Ben smiled politely. Under the table, my hands shook. I knew that tone. Lauren was not joking. She was testing gravity after that. Strange little things started happening. Ben brought up private stories from my childhood I had never told him. Embarrassing ones when I asked how he knew those things. He said Lauren told him. I asked her to stop. She laughed and said, "Relax. He should know the full you." Then Ben started canceling plans because Lauren needed help. A ride home, advice about a job interview, help moving a shelf. Always something. I told myself I was being paranoid. That word had been trained into me by then. Still, Ben did not betray me then. That matters. He apologized when I called it out. He blocked Lauren for a while. He got better. For years, he got better. Then he proposed. Simple ring. Quiet restaurant. No audience. I said yes. For one full day, I told no one except my best friend Mara. I wanted one clean day. Then my mother saw the ring at Sunday lunch. By dinner, the whole family knew. The wedding planning turned ugly almost immediately. My mother wanted control of everything. Lauren wanted to be maid of honor even though she had done nothing in my life except turn it into a competition. I almost said no, I should have. Instead, I said yes because some old part of me still thought peace was something I could buy with compliance. That never works. A week later, I found Lauren in my kitchen pouring wine for Ben while I was upstairs on a work call. When she saw me, she smiled and said, "I was keeping him company." I nodded. Then I told myself I was tired again. Always that. Then came the rehearsal dinner, the line I opened with. My mother had booked a private room at an Italian restaurant I did not even like because she said it was classier. We were halfway through dinner when Lauren stood up, reached for the veil draped over the chair beside me, lifted it and said, "You won't need this after tonight." Everyone laughed. My stomach dropped. Ben did not laugh. He stared at her and said, "What does that mean?" for 1 second. The room went still. Then Lauren smiled and said, "Relax, it's a joke." Joke. That word again. I looked at my mother. She was smiling. Then she said, "Paige always takes things too seriously." There it was, always my fault for noticing the knife. After dinner, I found Ben outside near the parking lot. He looked pale. I asked what was wrong. He rubbed his face and said, "Did Lauren ever tell you she messaged me last month?" My whole body went cold. He showed me his phone. There they were, messages from Lauren, at first casual, then flirty, then bold. One said, "If you ever get tired of scheduled affection, call me." My hands started shaking. Ben said he never answered. He showed me that too. No replies. Still, he had not told me that mattered. I asked why. He looked ashamed and said I thought ignoring it would keep it small. There it was, the family religion. Keep it small, keep it quiet, keep the peace. I laughed once. Then I said, that is how things grow in my family. I drove home alone that night. The next morning, my mother left me a voicemail saying I had overreacted and Lauren had only been playful. Then she said something worse. You always hoard the good things and then act shocked when someone else wants a turn. A turn at my fiancé. At my life, I hung up and called Nana June. She told me to come over. When I got there and told her everything, she listened and then said, "Stop treating this like one bad joke. This is a system." She was right. It was not one weird night. It was the latest step in a system I had been trained to survive. I wish I could say I canceled the wedding that day. I did not. Not yet, because 3 days later, Nana June collapsed in her kitchen. Stroke. Not fatal. Not kind either. I moved into her house to help. Temporary turned into 8 months. During the day, I worked remotely from her dining table. At night, I handled medications, meals, laundry, bills, and the million tiny tasks illness creates. My mother came by when other people could see her. Lauren came by twice. Once to complain the house smelled old. Once to ask if Nana had updated her will. That sentence told me everything. A month later, Nana asked me to bring the green file box from the hall closet. Inside were deeds, account summaries, trust papers, and old notes. Her attorney came the next day. A woman named Dana. That was when I learned the truth. Nana was leaving me the brick house. She was also leaving me her interest in a small lakefront lot that had been in the family for years. I stared at the papers until the words blurred. Then I asked, why me? Nana looked offended. Because you show up, she said. No one in my family had ever rewarded that before. They had only used it. Dana advised Nana to keep the details private. I wish that had worked. It didn't, because Lauren found out enough to get dangerous. She had gone through Nana's desk while pretending to look for a charger. That Sunday, my mother arrived with Lauren and my uncle Rob. The kitchen felt wrong the second they sat down. At first there was small talk. Then my mother said, "We hear there may have been updates." Nana did not blink. We, she asked. Lauren smiled and said, "Mom just means the family." Nana took a sip of tea. The family did not earn this house, she said. I did. Then Rob started asking about the lake lot. He had ideas, cabin rentals, an event space. My whole body went still. There it was, not concern. A business fantasy built on a living woman in a cardigan. I started to speak, but Nana beat me to it. No, she said. Just that. No. Then she added, Paige has invested time, labor, and love. The rest of you have invested appetite. Those are not equal. No one spoke after that. My mother left early. On the drive out, she accidentally left me a voicemail. I heard her tell Lauren, "She's always calm in a way that makes other people look cruel." That line stayed with me. After that dinner, everything turned colder. My mother stopped asking how Nana felt. She asked whether Dana had visited again. Lauren started posting fake sweet things online. Then she started dropping by the house more often. Always too loud. Always performing concern. Ben, meanwhile, was trying. That mattered too. He had blocked Lauren again. He had started therapy. He answered every hard question I asked. Sometimes trust returns like sunrise. Slowly, then all at once. Then Nana got worse. Another mini-stroke. More weakness. Rehab, then home again. I spent more nights sleeping on the couch than in my own bed that winter. My mother came twice and complained about parking both times. Lauren came once, took a selfie while Nana slept and called rehab food criminal. I made her delete it. That winter, Nana got serious about paperwork. Dana came twice more. The second time, she asked me to take notes. That was when I learned the full structure. Not only was I getting the house and most of the lake lot rights, Nana had also written a letter to be read privately if anyone challenged the decisions. That letter mattered later. Nana died in January. There is no elegant sentence for that. One day she was there. The next day the house sounded wrong. Too quiet. The funeral was small. Then came the will reading. That was where the real war began. It happened in Dana's office 2 days later. My mother wore gray and outrage. Lauren wore black silk and practiced grief. Rob came too, which told me everything. Dana read slowly. Specific gifts first, then the house, then the lot, then the account structure. My name came up again and again. By the third time, Lauren sat straighter. By the fourth, my mother had gone flat. By the fifth, Rob stopped pretending he was there for emotional support. When Dana finished, there was silence for 4 full seconds. Then Lauren laughed once and said no. Dana folded her hands and said, "The documents are valid." My mother leaned forward. "There must be confusion," she said. Paige was living there while June was vulnerable. My hands shook under the table. Dana's voice turned to steel. June made these decisions over time, she said. There's no question of capacity. Then Lauren said the thing I should have expected. So the reward for playing nurse is getting the jackpot. I turned to her and said, very quietly, you took selfies in rehab? For once, she had no answer. My mother did. She said, this is exactly what I was afraid of. Paige always turns things ugly. That sentence again. Different room, same machine. In the parking lot after, Lauren stepped close and hissed, enjoy it while it lasts. I should have paid more attention to that sentence, because 4 days later, someone got into the brick house. Nothing huge was taken. A lockbox, some copied files, one folder with account summaries. Then I saw which drawers were open, the estate copies. My whole body went cold. The sheriff came. He asked who had keys. I said, me, my mother, Lauren, the housekeeper. That was all. He asked if I suspected anyone. I froze. I wanted to say yes so badly, but saying it out loud felt like crossing a final line. So I said, I don't know. That was true in the weakest possible way. That same night, I changed the locks and installed cameras. One on the porch, one by the back gate, one in the hall. Good thing I did, because a week later, the back camera caught Rob trying the side door after midnight. Dark jacket, fast hands, looking over his shoulder. He tugged twice, swore, and left. I watched the clip again and again. Proof feels almost holy when you've spent a lifetime being trained to doubt your own eyes. Dana took a copy. The sheriff took one too. Nothing dramatic happened right away, but it mattered, because from then on they could never make me doubt the pattern again. The wedding did not happen. That matters too. Ben and I postponed it, then canceled it quietly. Not because we hated each other, because too much had broken in the wrong light. A year later, after therapy and slow repair, we planned something smaller. Not a wedding, a recommitment dinner in Nana's backyard. Just family. We actually trusted, friends, the people who had earned the right to witness something real. The final twist landed 3 weeks before that dinner. Dana called one Friday afternoon and asked if I was sitting down. I sat. She said someone had submitted a typed statement claiming Nana wanted to amend her will shortly before she died. My vision narrowed. From whom? Dana said it was clearly suspicious and not properly executed. Still, it existed. That meant someone had moved from gossip into fabrication. My first thought was Lauren. My second thought was my mother helped. I went cold all over. Then angry. Not hot anger, clear anger. Dana said we needed rehab logs, witness records, and patience. Patience. I had spent my whole life being patient. This time, patience would be a blade, not a cage. So I used it. I dug through calendars, invoices, rehab records, text logs, and old emails. Ben helped me sort folders. Yes, Ben, that mattered. He sat there night after night organizing dates, screenshots, and records with me. No defensiveness, no request to move on. Just work. The more we built the timeline, the stronger it got. On the date the fake amendment claimed Nana wanted changes, she had been in therapy, then lunch with me, then a nurse visit. No gap, no chance. Then something even dumber surfaced. One of the listed witnesses was a notary who had moved to Arizona 2 years earlier. When Dana told me that, I laughed out loud, not because it was funny, because it was so arrogant, so sloppy. Then Dana read Nana's private letter to me. It said, in part, if my daughter and her sparkly little favorite try to claim Paige pressured me, know this, Paige is the only one who ever came without a shopping list. I laughed and cried at the same time. The recommitment dinner morning came clear and cold. The brick house looked beautiful. String lights, wood tables, Nana's old herb pots on the steps. For 1 full hour, I felt peaceful. Then Mara looked out the upstairs window and said very carefully, Paige, they're here. My stomach dropped. Then she added, and Lauren brought flowers. Of course she did. I walked to the window and looked down. My mother stood in pale pink as if she had never heard a boundary in her life. Lauren stood beside her in white satin, holding a bouquet and her phone. Rob leaned against the gate. My hand started shaking. Mara touched my shoulder and said, you do not have to go down there, but I did not alone. Ben came with me. So did Dana at the front gate. My mother was already crying. Lauren saw me and raised the flowers like an offering, she said loudly. I just wanted to fix this before your big night. A stage. Always a stage. My mother stepped forward and said, please don't do this in front of everyone. Do what? Exist? Honestly? I said. You were not invited. Lauren's eyes filled instantly. Then she delivered the line she had clearly rehearsed. I know you hate me, but I can't lose my sister too. Guests had started gathering on the porch and in the yard. I could feel eyes. Old panic rose. The old instinct said, keep it small. Keep it private. Do not embarrass the family. Then I looked at Ben, then Mara, then Dana, then the porch where Nana had told me the truth for years, and something inside me settled into place. Not rage, clarity. I said loud enough for the yard and porch to hear, you stole from me for years. Tried to steal Nana's estate, filed false reports, forged documents, sent Rob to break into her house, messaged my fiancé behind my back and kept pushing. Because you thought I'd split everything to buy silence. Leave. Silence. Real silence. Lauren's tears stopped for half a second. My mother went white. Rob stared at the bouquet. Then my mother recovered and said, "How dare you say that here?" Dana stepped forward before I could answer. She said, calm as winter, "She says it because there is evidence." That changed the room. Lauren lowered the flowers a little. My mother looked around and realized the audience was not automatically hers. Then Lauren did what she always did when cornered. She attacked. She pointed at me and shouted, "You always thought you were better than us. Nana only left you things because you manipulated her when she was dying." Old pain hit first, then something stronger rose behind it. "Not shame, not this time. Truth," I said. "Nana trusted me because I showed up. You showed up for property." A sound moved through the guests behind me. Then, in full panic, Lauren made the worst mistake of her life. She shouted, "If you'd just split it, none of this would have happened." There it was, public, clean, unhidden. A confession shaped like a complaint. I watched understanding move across the faces around us. My mother closed her eyes for 1 second. Rob muttered, "Lauren, too late, way too late." Then Ben did something I did not expect. He stepped forward and said loudly, "She doesn't owe any of you a single thing." The whole yard went still. For years, I had wanted someone to choose truth beside me in discomfort. In that moment, Ben finally did. It did not erase the past, but it mattered. Then my father appeared from the driveway. Of course he had stayed by the car, but now he stepped into the open and said, "Stop." Not soft, not tired, sharp. Everybody froze. He looked at my mother and said, "You taught her this," and I let it happen. I had never heard him speak that honestly in my life. My mother looked furious and frightened all at once. She said, "This is not the place." He said, "No, this is exactly the place because you used every other one." Then he faced me in front of everybody and said, "I'm sorry." Just that. No excuse, no speech. I did not forgive him in that second. Life is not that neat. But I believed him, and that mattered. The planner opened the gate wider and said, "They need to leave now." 2 of Ben's brothers stepped closer too, not threatening, just solid, present. My mother grabbed Lauren's arm. This time Lauren let herself be pulled. At the gate, she turned back and said, "This isn't over." And for the first time in my life, I smiled at her without fear. I said, "Yes, it is." They left, all of them. The yard stayed quiet for one long beat. Then Mara clapped once and said, "Okay, great, let's do the nice part." Everyone laughed. Real laughter, the kind that releases pressure instead of hiding it. I laughed too, though tears were on my face. Then Ben and I stood under the string lights with the people who had earned our trust and promised to build something honest. It was the truest night of my life. Not because it erased anything, because it finally stopped pretending. After that, things moved quickly. The fake amendment, false reports, break-in footage, screenshot trail, and public confessions stopped looking like family drama and started looking like what they were: fraud, harassment, unlawful entry. I'm keeping those parts simple. What matters is that paper trails matter. Truth likes records. My mother somehow stayed out of the worst consequences through careful denials and expensive counsel. Lauren did not. Rob vanished as soon as paperwork got serious. Apparently, greed is not as exciting when it comes with investigators. The gossip flipped exactly the way gossip always does when facts arrive. People who had quietly believed I was rigid suddenly had kind things to say. I did not need them to. That was new, not needing the late rescue. My father started therapy. He did not become brave overnight, but he started telling the truth in smaller rooms. The brick house became mine fully by the end of that year. I kept Nana's herb pots. I kept the porch swing. I kept the old recipe cards in a drawer because some small things still feel like witnesses. Ben moved back in slowly. That mattered too, not because every relationship should survive betrayal. It shouldn't, because he finally learned that peace built on my silence was not peace at all. A year has passed now. I'm writing this at Nana's kitchen table while rain taps the windows and Ben burns toast in the next room. There's coffee on my desk. There's rosemary on the sill. There is a framed photo near the doorway of us under the lights with no false smile anywhere in sight. Every now and then, someone asks if I regret exposing everything so publicly that night. No, I regret that it became necessary. I regret the years before it, when I confused endurance with love and silence with maturity. I regret every time I made myself smaller so other people could stay comfortable, but I do not regret the truth. The truth cost me a role, it gave me a life, that trade was worth it. The last clear thing Nana ever said to me was in rehab after her first stroke. She squeezed my hand and whispered, "You do not have to disappear just because other people confuse your silence with food." I did not understand it fully then. I do now. Belonging that has to be purchased with self-erasure is not belonging. Love that only arrives when you are useful is not love. Family that survives by feeding on one person's silence is not family. So no, I did not lose my family at a rehearsal dinner or in a backyard. I lost a job. I lost the role of person who absorbed everything so everyone else could keep pretending. And in the place where that role used to be, I built a house, a relationship, and a life that finally feels like mine. Turns out Nana was right. The reward for showing up is not that unfair people become fair. It is that one day, if you keep choosing truth, you stop needing unfair people to explain your worth. And for the first time in my life, I did not feel rigid. I felt free.